one of them, but I'm pretty sure it was on one of the promos, or at least clips of the rhyme. It's not the whole verse, pieces of it.
Yeah, those promos are crazy. That's old school. I was actually trying to find it. I couldn't find it anywhere today.
The crazy back in the day, the promos got you mad love.
Word.
Like you think nothing because you just rhyming for a little minute and a half. But listen, I guess back then to hear rap, you had to listen on Friday and Saturday.
Yeah. From
9 to midnight. So
Red Alert Friday. I think Chuck was Saturday, right? I think.
Yeah, and then there was either Red and Chuck or Mr. Magic and Marley Marl.
Yeah.
So the way you look at it, you didn't have many choices. So Red, and then Red was Red. Red had the biggest name at the time.
Yeah.
It was big. If you was in the tri-state area, a chance. And young adults who love hip hop, it was a good chance you was listening to Red Alert from 9 to 12.
Absolutely. How did the whole native tongue thing happen, man? Walk us through that for a minute, because that was amazing. They're one of the biggest families, royal families in hip hop. How did that whole thing start?
I mean, the native tongue, they was a clique before I even came along. I don't know that it was even titled yet, the native tongue, but everybody used to work collectively on each other's projects, just helping each other out. Like, it was a much different scene back then, where it was a lot more involved. It was about coming up. It wasn't, nobody was really making money, so it wasn't all the beef, this negativity, BS that comes with it today.
Right.
But so when I came along, it was like I came up under Chris and Brad, so that's who they represented. That's who they were. So, like I said, it was never a meeting or anything said. Like, all right, this is what it was just like, that's the she. Once Chris came up with Native Sons and Native Tongues, it was like, all right, like that's what it is. So
right.
So it was dope. It still is dope. Like, I was with Daylight and Trash yesterday. Like, it still is dope being with my friends. I mean,
that's dope.
So, but I think I more or less was kind of like born into it. It's kind of like if your parents, the Gottis, if you a Gotti, it's like, how'd you be a Gotti? Like, I don't know.
That's right.
So you mentioned Drez, you mentioned De La. Those are two great names to mention, not just because they're legendary groups, but also because you made your first appearances on each of their respective projects. Past the 40 with Black Sheep. Talk about that experience of just coming up, getting down with them, and then now you in the studio recording these what become classic songs. You know what I'm saying? What was that experience like?
It was still like. I mean, I don't like to say I took it for granted, but I was just so young. A lot of it was more or less all I knew, because from the time I started really coming out the house where I could come out on my own, I was going to the studio. I think that's probably a lot of the reason why I was able to move so much alone at a young age, because I was, my parents more or less knew where I was going, and I was doing something productive. So, I mean, it was just different for me because I was younger, but I didn't realize it was classic groups at the time. I didn't realize we were making classic songs and classic albums. It was just us all in the studio working, trying to make dope songs. Like, whoever session it was about whoever came through. It was about making the best sound, the best music we could make. And that's what it boils down to. So I didn't even, when you're in the moment, a lot of times you take it for granted, and sometimes you don't get to enjoy a lot of shit because you just working. And then when shit slow down and you look back, you be like, holy cow, man, like we was popping. You know what I mean? Like, we was doing mistakes. We were, making our imprint in music and hip hop and music in the world. We were making our imprint, and I don't even think we knew it. You know, that's what makes it dope. We wasn't trying to do it. We was just doing what we enjoyed doing, making hip hop.
That's correct. Yeah, you're right about that. You were actually Chris Lighty's first artist on Violated Relativity, right? Talk about that for a minute. Talk about how important Chris Lighty was to the game, because a lot of people, a lot of people know him, but a lot of people are not super familiar with him because he was kind of behind the scenes. He was, the flashy guy, but he definitely was a big influence on hip hop. Talk about Baby Chris a little bit.
Chris is a pioneer. Chris from the Bronx, Yonkers High School, came up right around where